What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the show. So today I want to take a look at a few different stories. I'm going to show you guys the stories first, and then we're going to talk about them in more detail. So let's go ahead and get started. So the first story that we're talking about here, lawmakers unveil a $1.7 trillion U.S. spending bill as shutdown deadline looms. We're going to take a look at this. Now, the main reason I want to talk about this is I want to talk about the funding and where it's going. So you have $1.7 trillion. I'm going to focus on just two categories, or just two places where the money is being spent, and this is going to be shocking to you. Also, we're going to take a look at this story. Democratic-led House Ways and Means Committee set to release Trump's taxes in the coming days. So we're going to talk about that. We're also going to follow up that last story with this story. Donald and Melania Trump reported negative income in 4 years from 2015 through 2020. Next story here, we're going to talk about 401k, auto enrollment, and other big changes to retirement plans in the omnibus bill for 2023. Now, I'm going to talk about this separate because this is very important. This can help a lot of Americans. We'll talk about that. And then the last story here, New York GOP leader calls accusations of fake bio for new GOP House member serious. So we're going to talk about this. So you have someone who is a representative-elect, so will be his first term. He just ran and won, but they're looking at his bio and they're realizing it's fake, that he lied about a lot of the stuff that's in his bio, like what college he went to and all this stuff. So we're going to take a look at that story. But first off, if you guys can do me a favor, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit that bell notification, and then click all. By clicking all, you'll get notified anytime we put out a video. We do daily videos, so by clicking the bell notification and clicking all, you should be getting updated every day. If you're not getting updated every day, let me know in the comment section below, and I will reach out to YouTube once again to try to see if we can remedy this problem. And this is an ongoing problem, and I do have people that are still letting me know in the comments that they're not getting notified when I put out videos. And so please do that. Also, I'm putting out more shorts now. Now, I know I said this before, and I put them out. I put out a few, and then I stopped, and I put out a few. But I'm putting out more shorts now. So if you guys don't know shorts, that's the vertical video that you'll see on my feed. And those will be just quick stories that I want to get out really, really fast and let you guys see what's going on. It might not be a full 8 to 10 minute video, so it's going to be just a short little 60-second clip of something that's going on. Okay, so let's go ahead. I want to go ahead and get started with these stories. So the first story here, we were talking about the omnibus bill. Okay, so we're going to talk about that in two different segments because I want to focus mainly on just two categories. And this should make you pretty upset. Now, understand, $1.7 trillion, the vast majority of this bill will be going to the American people. But, and we've talked about this before, we've talked about money going to Ukraine, and we still see money going to Ukraine in this bill, $45 billion in emergency funding. Okay, so there it is right there to Ukraine. And this is more than what President Biden was asking for. President Biden was asking for $37 billion. Okay, so still a lot of money, but $45 billion is what they've come up with for aid to Ukraine. Now, in the beginning, when this first started, when the war first started, I was all for trying to help Ukraine as much as possible. But what is concerning to me and what is interesting and sad is when you look at this omnibus bill, you look at where some of the rest of the money is going, and look at here. Look at $40 billion. So we have $40 billion. So we have, let's start. $45 billion going to Ukraine to help fight off Russia. And then in the U.S., we have $40 billion to assist communities across the country recover from drought, hurricanes, and natural disasters. So to help the American people with disasters, $40 billion, but $45 billion is going to Ukraine. I have a problem with that. I have a huge problem with that. And like I said, I understand that the vast majority of this $1.7 trillion will be going to the American people, at least helping with funding the government. I understand that. But when we're looking at the situation here with Ukraine and then looking at disasters, natural disasters in the U.S., and we see $40 billion going to the U.S., but $45 billion going to Ukraine, I'm sorry, I have a problem with that. And so I just wanted to bring that to your attention. This is the omnibus bill that they'll be voting on. Hopefully by the end of the week, but that's not a good story. That doesn't look good when you have things like that. And I'm sure you're going to have politicians that are going to bring this up. There's also other money going out. We have $858 billion going to the defense fund. So we have money going there. And they also have some different provisions in there. We're going to talk about one more provision, the Secure 2.0. We'll talk about that later on. But ultimately, I mean, we're spending a lot of money in Ukraine. And that money is not coming back. It's not coming back to the U.S. And so it's very concerning when you have when you're only spending $40 billion to help with the natural disasters we have in the U.S., but you're spending $45 billion, even more. I mean, when you look at it, $45 billion, that's just in this bill. We've spent money in the past, billions of dollars in the past, that have gone to Ukraine. Now, looking at the next story here, so the House Ways and Means Committee, they have approved releasing Trump's taxes. Now, this is a political decision, right? We know that, and it was right down party lines. All Democrats voted for it, and the Republicans voted against it, the Republicans in the House Ways and Means Committee. And so his taxes will be released. Now, from the start, when before President Trump became president, when he was running, I thought that he should have released his taxes. And this is a tradition. It's been a tradition since Nixon. I think it's important for us to know how people manage their money, because they're going to be managing your money if they become president or if they become a politician in Congress. So I think it's important for us to know this stuff. Now, it's not mandatory. I understand that, but it gives us an eye into what this person's doing, and are they being honest, and are they paying taxes? Because the reality is, if you're not paying taxes, how do you know how I feel about paying taxes? So will you be sympathetic to me, a person who's working and paying taxes, if you're not paying taxes yourself? So that's just one of the things. If you're representing me, I want you to feel some of the pain that I feel, because I think that makes you look at these problems and see how crucial it is when it comes to tax breaks and things like that for the middle class, for the working class, for the poor. So the House Ways and Means Committee, they will be releasing his taxes. Right now they're doing some redactions, and so we'll find out more in the coming days as far as what's in his taxes. Stuff has already been leaked. The Wall Street Journal, in this next article I'm going to show you, they have released some information regarding his taxes, so we'll talk a little bit about that. But it's going to span from 2015 to 2020. Okay, so those are the tax returns that we will be able to see. Now, there's been information out there already for a few years, 2 or 3 years, something like that. And so we did have some information about some of his tax returns, but this will give us a bigger picture, so we'll know a little bit more about this. And we know that former President Trump has been holding out and not wanting to show people his taxes. For some reason, he's been doing that. And I think it's pretty obvious, if you're trying to not let someone see something, then there's probably stuff in there that you don't want people to see. That's why you're trying to block this whole thing. But we will be able to see it, and so we'll be able to decide for ourselves when it comes to his taxes. And let's take a look at this next story. And this goes along with the story that I just talked about as far as the House Ways and Means Committee releasing its taxes. So in this article from the Wall Street Journal, they're saying Donald and Melania Trump reported negative income in 4 years from 2015 through 2020. Very interesting. Negative income. Okay. And when you go into this article, it really gets even more interesting. So negative income in the amount of $53.2 million. Okay, and that's over that span between 2015 and 2020. Very, very interesting. I mean, it would be nice if I could show negative income every year. And former President Trump is, and he said this in the past, that it makes him smart, the fact that he doesn't have to pay taxes. But what does that make us? I mean, if you think about it, the average Joe's paying their taxes every year. So what does that make us if it makes him smart because he's not paying taxes? But understand this, if you're not paying taxes, someone is paying those taxes for you. Basically, the federal government needs money, right? They need money to function. So if you're not paying taxes, the people that are the working class, the middle class, the poor, those are the people that are paying those taxes to help fund the government, because someone needs to fund the government. And so more will be revealed in the coming weeks once they redact these tax forms. And so in 2018, he reported $24.3 million in adjusted gross income. Now, remember before I said that 53 million negative, that was 4 out of the 6. Okay, so Here he's showing 24.3 million adjusted gross income, and then in 2019 he showed an adjusted gross income of 4.4 million. Okay, so he had a few positives, but the vast majority was he was in the negative, and that's interesting. And then when you look at 2020, and I read this in another article, but in 2020 he showed a negative as well, which he was the president in 2020. So that in itself is pretty interesting. That as a president you're showing a negative. Now I understand what you get these accountants and they start doing all these tax write-offs and all this stuff. But he's in the White House. He doesn't have to pay for a lot of things that you would have to pay as a normal citizen because he's president. So it would be very interesting to see how you come up negative in 2020 when you're the president. So that I'm going to follow that. That's definitely something I'm interested in looking at. But overall, yes, it's just showing that the rich are able to just write a bunch of stuff off and not have to pay taxes, and they just get richer and richer. Where you have middle class, working class, poor, you have to pay your taxes, and that's a big chunk of money that's coming from you, so you don't have that money to spend on other things. And so, I mean, when it comes down to it, obviously some things need to be changed, but we have to realize that the wealthy people are running the country. And I'm not talking about politicians. I'm talking about wealthy people who pay politicians to represent them. And so I don't anticipate seeing any major changes when it comes to taxes. But this is just something, it should be an eye-opener to the American people looking at this and say, hey, wow, you can show a negative? I wish I could show a negative. Let's say you make $100,000 a year, or you make $50,000 a year. It would be nice to show, oh, you know what, I'm negative $50,000. So why don't you give me some money? You owe me money. But that's just not how it works generally. Okay, next story here, 401k, auto enrollment, and other big changes to retirement plans and omnibus bill. Okay, so this is good. This is good news for the average Joe. And the reason why this is good is because what they're focused on, this is the Secure 2.0, and I'm just going to briefly go over some of the things that are key points here. Now, what they want to do right now, not all employers have to offer retirement, and not all employers offer retirement. So you could be working for a company and they're just going to tell you, you're going to have to set up your own retirement because we're not going to set that up for you. It would be nice if that was automatic. And so that's one of the things that they want to focus on, automatic enrollment into new company retirement plans. And so if a company does have a retirement plan, you automatically get enrolled. And it's easier that way. You don't have to go, you don't have to go out and say, okay, yeah, this is how much money I want to go to my 401k or go to my 457 or whatever you have. You can be in a situation where it's automatically deducted. And it just works better that way. It's just like when you get you sign up for something and they do that auto pay, right? It's easier that way because you don't have to think about it. It's automatic. It's good for the company because it's automatically coming out, but then it's also good for you because it's not one of those things that every month you have to think, okay, I have to put this money aside to pay for this. As long as you're budgeting correctly, you should be fine. In that auto pay, you don't have to worry about doing that extra step. So that's something that they want to do with the Secure 2.0. Also, they want to increase the catch-up contribution limits for people 60 to 63. So when you're reaching that age where you're thinking about retiring, you can actually increase your contributions. And so that's something they want to focus on. Because some people, let's say you're around that age, you're in your 60s, and you're thinking you want to retire, and you're making more money, and you want to contribute more so you'll have more money for retirement, you have a cap where you can't go any higher than that. They want to raise that cap and allow you to contribute more. So I think that's good. Also, they have here financial incentives for contributing to a plan, expanding access to retirement plans for long-term part-time workers. So part-time, that's good too. So if you're working a long-term job as a part-time employee, have some type of retirement plan set up for those people as well. They also want to expand access to the saver credits, a tax credit for contributions for lower and middle-class income workers. And then they want to make it easier to access your retirement accounts for emergency situations. So you can access your account, which I did this. I had a 457 plan before I retired. And I was able to access that if I needed extra money for certain things. I basically borrow against my my 457 plan. It's not recommended, but it's nice to have that ability to do that if you have an emergency situation. So we're going to have to see what they do with this, but this is a part of the omnibus bill. So if they pass the omnibus bill and there are no amendments to the large bill, if they don't take this out, then it looks like this will be in there. Okay, last story I want to talk about. Now, this is really a sad story because, I mean, if you knew a politician was lying, would you actually vote for that person? Well, this person actually got through, won his election in New York, and then they found out that he was lying about a lot of the information in his bio. Now, believe it or not, it's not against the law for a politician to lie about their background, but it is just, in my opinion, it's unethical. Okay, so the first thing that he lied about is the college that he attended, or going to college as a whole. I don't even know if he ever went to college, but he's saying that he received a bachelor's degree from this Baruch College, and they don't have any record of him ever attending that college, which is just shocking, right? To say that you went to a college and you received a degree in economics and finance, and they don't have any record of you attending that college. Now, he has not responded to this information. So if you're not responding, generally you would respond right away if this stuff came out and it was false. But he's not responded yet. And as far as work, he said that he worked at Citigroup and Goldman Sachs. They don't have any record of him working there. Okay, and that it's amazing, right? So he's saying that he worked at these jobs, and just think, if you went to apply for a job and you had your bio and you show them your bio and it had this information on there and they found out that you were not telling the truth, would you get that job? Probably not. And even, let's go a step further. Let's say you got the job and you're working there and you've been working there for 6 months and they found out that you lied about all this stuff. They would probably fire you as well. But in this situation, politician, he can lie. There's no recourse. There's no recourse for him at this point. He won his position. Now he can go ahead and serve for the 2 years. I don't think he's going to get reelected. I mean, I think it would be pretty impossible. If all this information is true, I can't see how his district can vote him in again. It would amaze me. I will follow Mr. Santos to see if this happens, if he does get reelected. But that would just be, I mean, look, as constituents, we need to pay attention to these politicians. And if you're going to allow someone just to tell you that they went to this college and they worked here and they did this and they didn't, in my opinion, that would be a major problem in our democratic process, because it just, I mean, it should not happen. We should not see politicians able to just lie and get elected or get reelected. Now, it's said that he's also not telling the truth about 4 employees that worked for him, saying that they died in this Pulse shooting, this a mass shooting that happened. He's saying that 4 of his employees were a part of this shooting. And New York Times did an investigation. Out of the 49 victims, they couldn't link Mr. Santos to any of the victims. Now, George Santos has not responded, like I said, but he did put out this tweet. "We have the opportunity of a lifetime to deliver real results for the American people. We must give the gavel to Kevin McCarthy to ensure we stop the disastrous policies the Dems have pushed for the last 2 years. I encourage my colleagues to join me. Our country depends on it." So basically, he's showing his support for McCarthy, Kevin McCarthy. And that could save him, because Kevin McCarthy needs all the votes that he can get in order to get the speakership, because it's not going to be a slam dunk for him. You do have some Republicans in the House that are opposed to him being speaker. And so that right there could save Mr. Santos, because obviously if Kevin McCarthy is a speaker, then he's not going to want to move forward with any discipline for Santos. Now, people are asking for Mr. Santos to resign because, look, I mean, even before he comes into office, they want him to resign because he wasn't being truthful to his constituents. But I don't think that's going to happen. I just can't see him doing that. But it just shows you when it comes to these politicians, some of them will just lie and not have any, they don't even care about it. They're not telling just small little lies. They're telling big things, where they went to college, where they worked, the tragedies that have happened. They're talking about tragedies and saying that they have people that were involved in that, or they knew people that were involved in that, and it's coming out to not be true. And so all I can say when it comes down to it, first off, know who your representatives are in Congress. Know who those people are and hold them accountable and know their record. I want to know what you guys think about this whole story and all the other stories we talked about today. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. Please subscribe for more, and I'll talk to you in the next one. Bye.